go to that exit there at the end of the show. Myself and maybe some of our storytellers will be signing books back there and selling books. So you can come and visit us at the book table. Our final storyteller tonight, I'll tell you, the first time he did Risk was in Dallas a couple of years ago. And man, it was just so moving and so beautiful. He had never told a story on a storytelling show before, and his story ended up being one of the stories that is in the Risk book. He told the story again at Anderson's bookstore in LaGrange, Illinois last night, and it was just gorgeous to hear him tell it again. But here he is tonight, came all the way from Texas to share a brand new story with us, and you can find him at chadduncan.com. We're thrilled to bring back Chad Duncan.
Perry is an English Labrador, and they say that he's got this face like a boy. He's got these brown, soulful eyes with these mischievous eyebrows that kind of say, "I know something you don't know." Well, Jennifer, my wife, would say that Perry, she would describe him as the Pear Bear. Yeah, I know. I mean, absolutely. He is the Pear Bear. I mean, he runs like a bear. I would describe Perry as Sigmund Freud's innate drive. He is the id. He is you got it, the pleasure principle. Whatever it is, he is so excited to do it. So when he finishes taking a dump, he kicks and snorts and celebrates like he's solved world peace. I mean, this is the dog I have. Okay? Now, to really just typify exactly the way Perry is, we were over at a friend's house. She's blind, and she's getting him a reward out of her vegetable cabinet. And as she goes to get him a carrot, he goes running off. I know that dog. And I'm like, "Jennifer, he's got something." She goes, "No, he doesn't." Sure enough, he's running around. She starts laughing because he's got a Fuji apple wedged in his mouth like a pig waiting for a luau. Truly bit off more than he could chew. He couldn't do anything. But that's Perry. But you take him and you put a leash on him, and then he kind of treats me like you would treat a substitute, you know? You're going to see what you can try to get away with. She knows what I'm talking about. But you take his harness and you put it over his head and you strap it across his chest. And he transforms into a guide dog. Now, when I first got him 5 years ago, we're walking and he's tugging like one of those sled dogs. And the harness handle is just so tight. I mean, I can barely keep up with him because he's so fierce. He's so intense. And I am just gasping because I can't keep up with him. Part of me is saying, "I can't do this, but I got to keep going." Well, I'm walking with him, and he wants to go for walks. I never walked around my neighborhood, and here we are going around the neighborhood for 30 minutes, and I am gasping and heaving. I'm a mess. I'm pouring with sweat by the end. I take off his harness, take off his leash, and once he catches his breath, he's pouncing on me. He's barking at me. This guy wants to go out again. I've got nothing, but I've got Jennifer at work, but what do I have to do? I'm unemployed. I'm blind. So I put the harness back on him, I put the leash on him, and we go for another 30 minutes. And we keep doing that day after day after day. And what happens is eventually that 30 minutes becomes 45. And after a while, that 45 means we're doing a full hour. Now, that was 160 pounds ago. This is the kind of dog, the tenacity that he's got for us to go through and explore everywhere. So we're walking 2 years ago. Now, I've gotten to that point that I can keep up with him, and the harness handle is slightly tight because he's still pulling a little bit. But at this point, I'm walking full stride with him. I want you to think, full stride, you walking. I'm 6'1". I'm walking full stride, and this dog, I can feel through the harness, is popping his head back at me. He's looking up at me. I know what that means. This dog is taking me everywhere. I know what he's wanting. He wants to go faster. Y'all, I'm blind, okay? I'm blind, and I didn't run when I could see. This dog wants me. So you're laughing because I'm laughing as he's doing this, and I'm going, survival instinct, logic. Okay, I've got to leave those behind. I take a huge deep breath, hold it, and I brace for the impact, and I start running. I'm imagining myself bouncing off the cars or the mailboxes or something. But it doesn't happen. We keep running. We are running, and that harness handle is loose. It starts vibrating because we are in synchronicity. It starts to vibrate up my arm, into my shoulder, into my spine, and ladies and gentlemen, in my soul. We are in harmony. I want you to think about that. Another life force I can't see, and I've got full trust in him. I mean, absolutely. Believe me. So as we get to the end of the route, he slows down because there's a curve, and we get to the house, and I take off his harness and his leash, and he goes tearing off to tell Jennifer and Guinness, our other Labrador, exactly what he's done. And he's just barking at her. And for the last 2 years, y'all, I mean, imagine your neighbors, and all of a sudden, blind fella's running again. So that's where my weight went. It went for running with him. So April 14th of this year, it was blistering cold in Texas. 43 degrees. To y'all, that's tanks and tank tops and flip flops. Okay, in Texas, that's cold. I want to put on more layers of clothing if I'm going to go out in 43-degree temperature. But that day, that afternoon, I really I wanted to take off some layers and just get underneath the comforter and get warm. And Jennifer was giving Perry some carrots. And so as I'm starting to relax, I hear her say, "There's some throw up in here." And she called my name next, and it's one of those when you hear that voice come out of your partner, I throw off the sheets and I go running. And the next words I hear is seizure. I go down on the ground on all fours. I'm hanging on to his head as his body is flailing. Our other dog, Guinness, is barking, and I'm like, put Guinness behind the bedroom. And I'm hanging on to his body. And his whole everything is just scraping against my chest. His nails are just digging in. And his back legs, Jennifer comes back and says he's spewing diarrhea. And I'm hanging on to his head, and it's foaming up. I can feel it go across my arm, and it's just going on forever. And I don't know what to do, but I'm relaxing. I'm saying, "It's okay. You're all right. It's okay. You're all right." I'm relaxing my muscles because if I can exude calm, if I can communicate calm to him, maybe that can heal him and bring him out of it. And all of a sudden, his back legs are kicking and they gain a little bit of traction. And next thing you know, he's sitting up. But something tells me to grab his collar, and I grab his collar. And he begins to growl. And he's growling everywhere, but nowhere. And Jennifer says he's blind. Now, I'm in the moment of doing, it's okay, you're all right, it's okay, you're all right. So I can't believe I was lucky enough to hear her say that. And I said, what do you mean? It's okay, you're all right. And she says his eyes are glazed over. And so I'm thinking, okay, drool. Okay, go get a towel and wet a towel. And so he's growling, and he's growling towards her. And the only thing I know to do is bring him closer. Because if my words aren't penetrating him, I want him to feel me. I want him to know I'm there for him. So I pull him close into me, and I keep telling him, it's okay, you're all right. Jennifer comes up with a towel, starts to wipe his face, and those growls become groans. And those groans become moans. And next thing you know, he tucks his head underneath my arm, which he's done for 5 years, and his tail starts to wag. And it's that moment I'm like, he's back. And Jennifer begins to retch because the smell of diarrhea is permeating the air, covering me, covering our dog. I say, go over there, and I take Perry to the bathroom, and he and I take a shower together, and we get clean, and we fly to the animal ER. Now, he was able to perfectly walk and see and get into the car, and we're in the back seat, and I'm touching his back, and I'm a talker, and Jennifer and I talk, but the car is silent. And the first instinct I have in my head is to say, no social media. And I'm touching his back, and I'm feeling those muscles that were in chaos and fury. And I realize in that moment, in that stillness, he's had a seizure. He's had a seizure, and I start hearing the voice in my head going, the guide dog school, seizure, guide dog school. The guide dog school took away my friend's dog when she had a seizure. Are they going to take away Perry? Is Perry going to be okay? And all my thoughts are so loud in me, and they are broken. The moment that doctor walks through the door, he touches Perry for a moment and says, this is a brain tumor. I've seen this 100 times. This is a brain tumor. And I'm like, could we do some blood tests? I mean, he touched him for a second, and he's like, it won't show up in a blood test. Okay, well, I'm willing to pay for that. Why don't you do the test? And he kind of almost leaves in a rush, like I've given him the wrong answer. My dog, wrong answer. No, go take his blood. So when he comes back, he says, the blood's clean. Now, I want you to understand, the likelihood of him having another seizure would happen within the next 24 hours from the time he's had that seizure. You've got to leave him here. If he seizes again, there could be brain damage. And those words echoed in my head. And I mean, after everything that's happened, the seizure, the diarrhea, everything. I mean, my head is just going, and the next thing, words I hear out of his mouth, because I say to him, leaving him here is not an option. And he goes, okay, he could have brain damage. I'm sending you home with a suppository of Valium. Now, brain damage, everything's going on. All of these things have happened to me. And at that point, I'm thinking, is that suppository for him or me? If he seizes again, I might shove that in my... So we get home, and Jennifer and I are going to take shifts. She takes the first shift, I get sleep. Don't know how that happens, but I wake up and she gets into bed, and he's a mama's boy, he's the Care Bear, and he lays on her, And I can't really watch him, y'all, so I would just go in and I would touch him. And I'm feeling this big, massive head of his, that body, the brain. He's kept me safe for 5 years. We've navigated huge intersections. I have a tough job, and I just lean right into him, and I smell that Labrador's paws make. They smell like Fritos. I'm in that moment. I'm smelling, and I'm going, please, Perry, don't leave me. I feel broken. And he and I have done all these things together. And we wake up in the morning and he goes underneath my arm, but much softer. I imagine his muscles had been tense from everything. And that day, he kind of walked around with Guinness, did everything. And that afternoon, Jennifer, Perry, Guinness, and I are laying in the bed. And Jennifer says the 24 hours has passed. And I reach down and I start tickling Perry. He kicks his head back and he starts to groan and moan and kick and little. He's a farter, okay? I'm like, he's back. He's back. So we take him to the neurologist, okay? An animal neurologist, and she is the antithesis of this other guy. She walks in the room and she's asking us questions. She goes, does he have to be on a leash? I'm like, no, it's your office. She takes him off and he goes running around and he's just being the little id that he is, and he's going around, and she said, I don't think this is a brain tumor. I'm just not seeing it. And all of her questions, I mean, he wasn't doing anything that would indicate a tumor. And she said the only way we're going to know is if we do an MRI. Okay, now there is a chance that when they put him under, he may not come back out. But he's healthy, and that's the only way we're going to see. And it's expensive. And I'm thinking, expensive? She says, I will call that night with the results. And I'm thinking, she's going to call. Wow. So we get the MRI. He comes out of the anesthesia, and I can't tell you what a relief that is. And I'm like, and so that night she calls. And she says, I haven't heard from the radiologist. I went through slide by slide. You've got a healthy brain in that animal head of his, and you get out there and you live life. So we've gone out, we've run, we have loved, and he has been an amazing joy. I mean, we're here. Okay, we got into town 2 days ago, and so we get here super early, and we get into an Airbnb, and we get into it. Oh, so it's an old style Chicago house. So it's got those wooden stairs up, like you guys, like I'm telling you guys what a Chicago house is like. But for me, I don't know what they're like. So I'm walking up the wooden stairs, and as we're on the first floor, I can hear every tiny step. So I can hear Perry everywhere. So we put down our luggage, and what do we do? What do Texans do as soon as you get to Chicago? Pizza. So deep dish pizza, and it was the real stuff, okay? It was amazing, okay? We went to Barnes & Noble, looked at the wrist book, and I'm like, I'm gonna be at a bookstore tomorrow night. So we go back to the house, and I'm thinking, okay, we've been up since 2:30. We got to get from Texas up here. So we're up. Jennifer's like, I'm gonna take a nap, and I'm thinking, next thing is on the list is a Chicago dog. Okay, so I'm kind of looking at those things, and I'm kind of thinking about what I'm gonna say up here, and I hear this rhythmic sound and this vibration. Is that neighbors? What is that noise? So I get up and I go into the bedroom where Jennifer and Perry are. Perry's having a seizure. And I get down and I'm trying to wake Jennifer up, and I'm trying to do it calmly. How do you calmly wake somebody up as you're hanging on to your dog and he's flailing? And I'm like, get the suppository, get the suppository. And she's like, what? Seizure. And so she's getting it, and all of a sudden, as she is about to give it to him, he sits up, which I would too. I would too. But he sits up, and he's just breathing hard, just out of his nose. His mouth is shut. And I can feel the foam coming down his face. And I say, Jennifer, go get a wet towel. She goes and gets a wet towel, and she starts to wipe it down. But the foam keeps coming, and he's breathing hard. And I said, go get another towel and wet it. And she wipes down his face. As she leaves to go get the other one, he starts to growl. I go right back into that mode, and I pull him into me. And Jennifer comes back with a towel and wipes him down, and those growls become groans again. And he's back, and the three of us take a shower together. But when we get back out of the shower, Jennifer and I just start boo-hooing, crying. That curtain of denial has been pulled back, ripped down, and set on fire. We take him to the vet the very next day, and they put him on medication. Blood tests are clear. But it's that realization. Time is finite. I had been holding my breath for the last 4 months, bracing for the impact that I knew would come, but you can never be prepared for that. People will say, if I could just have one more day, if I could have that one more interaction, I would be okay. I've had 4 months with him. We have celebrated, we have lived life to its fullest, we have danced, we have had everything. My cup is full. I am here on a risk stage. I'm telling you the legend of Perry. Perry has guided me through all of these obstacles of going blind, of not feeling broken anymore. He's brought me so much confidence and taught me so many things about life, and he's a dog. And now, it's Jennifer and I's turn. Jennifer and I will guide him through his journey. Love fiercely.